do 3 of them off of here, any side, front and back, and then we'll really take a look at 8.3, because that's the one that's due tonight, but we should be able to get through probably 2/3 of it in class today. All right, so where do y'all want to start? And you might want a calculator today. Pick a problem, any problem. Number 1? No? 10? Yeah. So for 14 and other questions like that, I would recommend like using sticky notes and covering crap up. Okay. All right, so we said number 10. So 10, is that a 45, 45, 90 or a 30, 60, 90? Okay. So it's definitely a 30, 60, 90, which means we have to use these ratios that I have up on the board. Those will go away for the test, but remember, if we're keeping up with these due dates, even though we have a snow day, you guys get to use your notes on your test, so you've got to make sure your notes are good to go for next week. So, this is a 30, 60, 90. I'm going to put 30, 90, 60, 90. Some of the green kids didn't like the fact that I had X's in here. It freaked them out a little bit. Because they were like, there's X's in here, and then there's X's in these proportions, and I'm really confused, so I just changed it to S. And then somebody complained about S looking too much like a 5, and I'm like, I can't make any of you happy. It is the side length from here times the square root of 3. All right, so what did they give me? The 30, the 60, or the 90? It's whatever it's directly across from. So they gave me the 30. So this is square root of 6. All right, now if you're moving to the right, all you're doing is you're adding on the new multiplication. All right, so the 90 one's easy. It's just 2 times the square root of 6, which is 2 root 6. Now the one that's going to be a little weird is the middle. All right, so I've got square root of 6 times square root of 3. What is 6 times 3? 18. Can I simplify root 18? Can I take any perfect? What about a 9? All right, so I can pull a 9 out. Stuck with a 2, so that is 3 root 2. So y in this case is going to be 2 root 6. X is going to be 3 root 2. So far so good. Right. And then I heard the request for one of the doubles. 14 for sure. All right. So for 14, my recommendation is start off by covering that side up. And the reason I say covered that side up is because that's the only triangle that actually has a side length, correct? So, does anybody need a sticky note, by the way? Yes. Big one, little ones. All right. So, I have this lovely little 30, 60, 90 triangle. Make your little table. 30, 60, 90. So that 27, is that my 30, my 60, or my 90? 60. That makes this a 27. So far, so good? Now, to the left on this. When we move to the right, we just had to multiply, correct? So what's the inverse operation of multiplication? Dividing. So I need to divide this by a square root of 3. All right, so all of that crap that we did in 8.1a, this is y. So I have 27 divided by square root of 3. How do I simplify that? the calculator. It's going to be ugly if you type it in the calculator, right? Yep. So, we're going to multiply top and bottom by root 3 over root 3. Okay? Because what is square root of 3 divided by square root of 3? Just 1. They do cancel each other. So I've got 27 square root of 3 over square root of 9. What is this? Can I do 27 over 3? Is 27 divided by 3? Fine. So, this little box right here is 9 root 3. How do I find the 90? Multiply the 30 by 2. Okay? So, 18 root 3. So I just solved 2 of them that I need. Okay? So that means this right here is 18 root, and then this side right here is 9 root 3. But remember, we did all of this work on only 1/2 of this time, correct? Oh, undo. So now, I need to find y and z. So for that little itty-bitty triangle, is that still a 30, 60, 90? Yeah, because this top angle right here is 60. So it means this little sliver is 30. And this one down here is 60. So I'm going to do another one of my fancy ways. So on that little itty-bitty triangle, which do I have? The 30, the 60, or the 90? Now, because my 60 has a square root of 3 on it, it makes life really easy when it comes to finding my 30. Alright? My 30 is literally just 9. That makes this 9. Because if I divide this by root 3, it just cancels out. And then 2 times 9 gives me 18. 18, 9, and what was the other? 18 root 3. Do we want more practice on this? Because I can do more practice on it and make it extra credit again. Yeah? Okay. Hang on, let me wrap myself around. On the back, do we have any that we want to do on the back? Sure. Which 2? Alright. So, name this square back. Alright, there's my giant imaginary stick. Now, when I'm looking at this bottom triangle is the only one that actually has a side length with a number, right? And if you guys need more sticky notes, they're on my desk. You can go grab them. Yeah. I got like 4 more packs on my desk. Alright, so when I'm looking at this little one, this is a 45, 45, 90, yes? Side root 2. What did they give me on this one? The leg or the hypotenuse? Alright, so they gave me the hypotenuse. That puts a 20 right here. So how do I get back to just the regular old side line? Divide by square root 2. And I'm running out of space. So I've got 20 divided by root 2. What do I do with this? 5. Root 2. Are you guys getting the point where you recognize that this denominator is the square root of 4, and then I can immediately make it a 2? And then what is 20 divided by 2? So I've got 10 root 2. This is 10 root 2, and that means z is 10 root 2. So far, so good? Y. This side is 10 root 2. Both sides for that 45, 45, 90 triangle have to be the same. So that top triangle, what kind of triangle is it? 30, 60, 90, or 45, 45, 90? Okay, so make another table. And that 10 root 2, where is that going to fit? Under the 30, the 60, or the 90? They're crossed. Because this one's 30. So this one's got to be. So 10 root 2 goes here. How do I get it back to 30? And it looks hideous like this, right? But what do I need to multiply? Yeah. It's whatever's on the denominator. So it's 10 square root over square root of 9, square root of 9 is 3. Can I simplify that any further? No. Leave the ugliness alone. Just use it. Alright, so that means y is 10 root 6 over 3. And then to get to 90, what do I have to do to my 30? Yeah, by what? See? Well, guess what? It's just going to be 20 root 6 over 3. Alright. Which one's next? I think we said 21. Alright. So for this one, you've got a 30, 60, 90, right? So that 4 root 15, where's that going to fit? Under the 30, the 60, or the 90. So think in terms of the angle that it's across from is the spotlight that makes it. Does that make sense? So if I have a 60-degree angle and I open it up, whatever line I get from my light, that's what side it is. Okay. So I've got 4 square root of 15. I gotta deal with some crap. Divided by square root of 3 again. Now I'm going to show you a little bit of magic. If you have 2 square roots and they're dividing, you can slap them under the same square root. It's just like multiplication. I can multiply them under the same square root, or I can break them apart. So what is 15 divided by 3? So this is just root 5. Which means, what's my hypotenuse? 8 root 5. Now for my perimeter, my perimeter is just going to equal 3 times 8 square root of 5. What's 3 times 8? The square root of 5. Alright, how do we feel about that one? Better? A little bit? You got another one? On the front page or on the back? This page? Yep. Can we just do one more because I want to hit the homework that's due tonight as well? Today in class? Alright, which one? Pick one. 16's ugly? Alright. So, I gotta have a square root for color tape. There we go. And I'm gonna have So do you want to walk me through this one? If I kind of lead you, would you try? Okay. So looking at this one, this is directly across from my 90 degree angle. So that means 16 root 3 needs to go over here. Get it back to just being a plain old x. Divided by 2. So I get 8 root 3 x. I've got to get it to look like that. Yes. So what do you guys think I'm going to have to do? Yep. So Carly, I've got square root of 3 times 8 root 3. So what's square root of 3 times square root of 3? Yep. What's square root of 9? So it's really 8 times 3. So that makes this side right here 24. Okay. So for this bottom triangle, this 24 would be what? A hypotenuse or a side length? Yep. So Carly, tell me when you're caught up. Yep. So I've got 24 over square root of 2. What do I multiply by? Pardon? Yeah. Root 2 over root 2. Yep. What is 24 divided by 2? And y and z are the same thing. So they're both just 12 root 2 and 12 root 2. Better? Okay. Good deal? Do you guys need pictures for the bottom 2 on this homework? Do you guys just want to do 24 real quick? Okay. Because 24 you need distance equals rate times height. Any baseball players in this one? Right? Baseball. So we're going to hit numbers. So the formula you guys are going to need is distance equals weight times time. So here's home. Here's first. Here's second. All right. So all of these sides on this square are 90. Which means my hypotenuse needs to be what? What do I need to do? If I've got a side, I've got the 45 sides. Multiply by root 2. Now here's the thing. Be lazy. Leave it as 90 root 2. All right. So they tell me that the distance it traveled is 90 times the square root of 2. It equals the rate, which is my speed, and that's 1.2 seconds. Or no, I'm sorry, that's time. I don't know what rate is, times my 1.2 seconds. So rate is speed divided by 1.2 seconds. Maybe take you, what do I get? Square root of 2, all divided by 1.2. Alright, you just want to retype it. Okay, so 75 root 2, but does that make sense in feet per second? No. So, what is 75 times the square root of 2? 306? 106? So it travels 106 feet per second. A little bit better? Alright, ready to look at the next one? So the next one will mess with your head at first, And then you'll realize, like, okay, I just need to do it. Got it. So for number 1, you have 3 right triangles that are happening at any given time, correct? On number 1 and number 2, they just want you to list out which triangles are similar and then draw it. That's it. Okay, so my big one is JKL, or JLK, I'm sorry. Literally the next page. How many of you are now a little bitter that Blue Days had all these snow days and you've missed out on all of these days of instruction? Really? Just garbage. I keep telling you guys, like, keep the same sleep schedule every single day. You've got insomnia. Alright, so do you guys have this written? Jenna, you might want to head over there. Okay. Just because today's bell schedule is all screwy and... Now you're good. Alright, so you guys have the sentence kind of written and the pictures drawn? Jay. So what I did was I made sure all of my 90 degrees went last. So that way I can make sure my letters are done in the correct order. Alright. Ready to do some of these? So I'm going to start you at the bottom. The bottom's easier. Hang on. We're just scrolling. Alright. So, these bottom 4 you're using what's called the geometric mean. And the geometric mean is the mean equals the square root of 24 times 32. Now I have kind of a stupid idea. Can I simplify square root of 24 and square root of 32 and then combine like terms? Or do you guys just want to multiply 24 times 32 and then simplify that monster? Because what is 24 times 32? 768. Do we want to simplify that or do we want to deal with 2 smaller numbers? That's what I like. So I can pull a 4 and I'm stuck with a 6. And this one I can do a 16 and a 2. Okay, so I'm left with square root. Are you guys okay if I just, instead of writing square root of 4 times square root of 6 times square root of 16 times square root of 2, if I just go 2 root 6 times 4 root 2, like that? So that gives me 8 root 12. Except, can I simplify root 12 at all? I can pull a 4 out. Alright, so square root of 12. So 8 times 2 is going to give me 16 square root of 3. Now all of the answers for these 4 are simplified radicals. Okay? You don't want to get the horrible icky decimals. Alright? So I will put on your test when answers need to be decimal form or when they need to be radical form. Okay? And if I put radical and you give me a decimal, I'm marking it wrong. Okay? Ready to scroll back up? Alright. Let's look at, I don't know, number 3. Yeah. Oh, Rush Limbaugh died. That sucks. Rush Limbaugh. He's a conservative radio icon. Died of lung cancer. Yeah. I don't listen to AM stations. I don't know. Alright. So, when you're looking at this one, because remember, you have those 3 right triangles. You are trying to compare, like, hypotenuse to hypotenuse, short side to long side to long side. Okay? So I've got the hypotenuse for the big one. Do I have the hypotenuse for this little one in here? Would it help if I kind of colored it? Okay. Green. So for that little green triangle that I just drew, do I have the hypotenuse for it? What number is it? 8. So I've got hypotenuse for the big over hypotenuse for the green equals. I've got this x here. Is that going to be the short leg or the long leg for that little green triangle? It's going to be my shorter leg. Okay. And what's the short leg for the big triangle? 6. All you got to do is cross multiply and solve. So I've got 10x equals 48. X equals 4.8. Of that big triangle, it's x is the short leg for the little triangle. 6 is the short leg for the big triangle. So when I'm looking at this, I've got big over little. Big triangle hypotenuse over little triangle hypotenuse equals big triangle short leg over little triangle short leg. All right, how do we feel about those 4? Okay. The back. So this is an altitude formula. All right. Now the altitude formula says altitude equals part times part. All right. So you're using that same geometric mean formula. You're just using it in a different way. Okay, let's go. All right, so for number 11, what's my altitude? X. So x equals the square root of 12 times 40. Do you guys like my little method of here, like just breaking down the little ones and then combining it? So we already did 12, and that's 2 root 3. 40 is a 4 and a 10. So this will be 2 root 10. All right, so I get 4 square root of 30. Can I simplify square root of 30? I've got 3 and 10, I've got 5 and 6, and that's kind of it. So I'm done. 15 and 2, but that doesn't help me. That's it. What other ones do we want to do? Braden, what do you have? What do you got? What's the square root of 4? What I'm doing is, instead of me writing it square root of 4 times square root of 10, I'm starting to skip that step. Where once I circle it, I recognize square root of 4 is 2, slap it on the front, call it a day. Okay. So which problem were we thinking? 19 or 20? Alright. So again, sticky notes are your friend. But I don't want you to have a white sign. Alright, so when you're looking at like 19 and 20, the biggest thing with these is which triangle do you have that's got the most information? That's always where you're starting. Alright, so that top large triangle is the one with the most information. Can I just use Pythagorean theorem on that bad boy? So remember, that's still a thing. Alright, so x squared equals 6 squared plus 15 squared. She could take it. 261. And that's just an ugly square root. Okay? So x squared equals 261. So we're just going to say x is the square root of 261. And we're going to, because it's ugly and I don't want to deal with it. So just leave it in its ugly state. So now I got to deal with my lovely little triangle down here. So is this an altitude? Yes. So I know 6 equals the square root of z times, except that's kind of gross, right? So could I write it as 6 squared equals 15z? And then 6 squared is 36. 36 divided by 15 is 2.4. Or do you guys want to leave that as a fraction? Solve it. Alright, so it's 2.4. And that's a terminating decimal. I didn't round at all. Okay? Now for me to finish this, can I use Pythagorean theorem again to solve for y? Alright. So I know y squared equals 2.4 squared plus 6 squared. So I got y to equal 6 point, we'll call it 46. Now I have all three. What do we think? It is. Can we set up 14? Okay. Because 14 messed with a couple of my second period kids' heads. So, real quick, I don't care about the whole thing. I care about part and part. So what's 63 minus 55? 8. So, I don't have an altitude either, do I? Make it y. Alright, so y equals the square root of 8 times the square root of 55. Okay? What you'll do is you'll solve for y first, and then use Pythagorean theorem on this little itty-bitty triangle to solve for x. Okay? You guys can add in variables to get you to where you want it to be. Yes, we are done.